Why is he gassing out in 2 rounds? Dude, he dominated Usman. No one has ever done that. He had a broken... He didn't dominate him, though. I'm sorry, but is a draw domination? No, it's not. He didn't. You're delusional if you think he did. These guzzlers, these Khamzat Chimaev guzzlers. It's so annoying. Usman sunned him. Usman punked him, bro. He resorted to shoulder nudges. I can't even call them shoulder strikes. Shoulder nudges. He didn't break his wrist. He didn't break his wrist. That's such a cope, guys. We've been hyping him up to see him destroy people, and he's done nothing but disappoint. He's a fraud. Simple as. All we saw was Kamaru Usman backing him up, popping him in the face with nasty jabs, okay, and punking him. Khamzat Chimaev was wobbling around with his open mouth breathing. Bro, I have an elite take. This is an elite take. You literally can't argue against it. It's the fact. Big meaty hooks. Big meaty hooks. I'm throwing big meaty hooks all damn night. Throwing big meaty hooks. Big meaty hooks. Big meaty hooks. I'm throwing big meaty hooks all damn night. Throwing big meaty hooks. The biggest, meatiest hooks. I don't care if Khamzat Chimaev looks good in your mind. I don't give a fuck if he looks good, okay? What matters is he living up to the expectations? It doesn't matter who he's in the cage with. I don't care if he's grappling against Usman. Why is he gassing out in 2 rounds? Okay? Why does he look like he's, falling off of a cliff after the first 5 minutes? That's not a good look. It isn't. Your expectations weren't for him to go out there and have a fucking draw. All right? He never gassed. He did. He did gas out. And I'm not going to yell, but he gassed out. All right? He gassed out. And he looked like dog shit in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Simple as. There ain't no fucking argument against it. Okay? 13-0? 13-0 sounds good to you, huh? Because as far as I'm concerned, he didn't even beat Kamaru Usman. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Kamaru Usman. The expectations were not for him to lose 2-3 rounds. That's it. All right? There's no argument as to why he looked amazing. He didn't. Jesus Christ, man. These guzzlers, these Khamzat Chimaev guzzlers. It's so annoying. So annoying. God damn it. Oh my gosh, dude. These Khamzat Chimaev guzzlers. Y'all disrespecting Usman? I'm not disrespecting Usman at all because the video that I made had nothing to do with Kamaru. I gave Usman all of his respect in my recap video. I'm not talking about the fact that, Usman isn't a good fighter. Usman's a great fighter. Khamzat's a good fighter. The expectations were not for Khamzat to go to a draw. Everyone in this chat, if you think that's what Khamzat was expected to do, okay, against a guy coming in on short notice, if you think the expectations were him to lose 2 out of 3 rounds, you're wrong. You could say 13-0 all you want. You can say 13-0. That doesn't change. All right, now you guys are just fucking bombarding the chat. You could say 13-0 all you want. He didn't even win. He lost the fight. Yeah. 12-0-1. Grant Miller, 12-0-1. Okay? That's his real record. You could say cry Lucas all you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Khamzat even won the fight. He looked like dog shit. All right? He's a fraud. Simple as. I've yet to hear anyone give me any kind of argument against this. Where's the arguments, huh? Because there was a lot of people talking a real load of smack on my recent video. But here, it's just a guy, everyone's just spamming the numbers. Keep spamming the numbers. All the Khamzat fans, don't forget to zip up his pants when you're done. Seriously, these Khamzat guzzlers, man. Oh my God, they're coping so hard with the fact that he looked like dog shit and gassed out and couldn't even beat someone that was coming in on 11 days notice. Oh my gosh, man. Unbelievable. Khamzat broke his leg in the first. Yeah, he broke his leg, huh? I'm sure that's why he wasn't punches. Oh my gosh, man. As if this injury caused him to gas out and get wobbled around, flopping on the deck like a fish in the 3rd round. Pathetic. Kamaru Usman's old reliable jab was enough to absolutely mash his face in. He underperformed. Thank you. He underperformed. That's just a fact. You can't even deny it. You can't deny it. Jesus. I don't care if he did things that were impressive. He underperformed. He lost 2 out of 3 rounds. Let that sink in. He lost 2 out of 3 rounds. Okay? Khamzat Chimaev was the guy that people were expecting to go out there and march Kamaru Usman down and knock him out. Didn't matter if it was the first round. He was going to knock him out. That's what everyone was saying. Usman is a beast. I totally agree with that. I'm not taking anything away from Usman. I'm just speaking to the fact that Khamzat was massively overrated. And I'll be the first one to admit that I was wrong about him. There are 100% some Khamzat fans that rated him properly. Most people did not rate him properly. And no, if you're telling me that you expected him to go out there and lose 2 out of 3 rounds, you're fucking lying. You either expected Usman to win or you expected Khamzat to mop the floor with him. A couple of you maybe have expected a close fight. I myself said that if Khamzat didn't finish him in the first, it might be a little bit worrisome, but I didn't expect him to be so terrible in the second and third. Hey, he has no gas tank. No gas tank at all. Khamzat's arguably 11-2. Thank you, Axel Fox. That's a fucking awesome take because it's arguably true. But hold on. But I'm going to be unbiased. I did rewatch Khamzat and Burns on live stream about a week ago because my take was Burns arguably beat him, and I rewatched it, and I actually gave the third round to Khamzat. But man, his striking's got even worse since then. Apparently, seems like it. He broke his dominant right hand. Okay, why wasn't he throwing jabs? Why wasn't he throwing the arm that he used to knock Gilbert Burns down? That's an excuse. I don't care if he broke his right hand. Where were the kicks? Where was the jab? Why did he lose the second and third round? Okay, he gassed. Simple as, bro. There's no excuse. He looked like shit. He had a full training camp and looked horrible. He has 5 minutes and a max. He's a good fighter. He's going to be a champ. I think he's going to be a champ. If you were to erase all of the hype, if you were to erase all of the expectations that have been put on his shoulders, and it may be unfair to put those expectations on his shoulders, if you were to erase all of that, I'd be the first one to tell you that's a promising victory right there. Khamzat Chimaev went out there, although he lost the second and the third, although his cardio is shit, his striking doesn't look so good, at least he was able to take down Usman, and he's got really nasty grappling in the first round, man. That's a killer right there. 100%, I'd be saying that's a killer right there. But the fact that he had all of these expectations is what I'm referring to when I say he was a fraud. He cannot live up to them. I'm the first one to admit it. Who cares about expectations? I'm just making a video on how he didn't live up to them, and people were arguing that he did. People were trying to tell me that people expected him to go to draws when he got to the big time, okay? Khamzat Chimaev fans were not hyping him up so that he could go to a goddamn draw once he was 29 years old in his prime, all right? We weren't hyping him up so that he could have little razor-close, arguable robbery decision wins. We were hyping him up because we thought he was going to go out here and decisively beat people. And he can't. Your takes are elite, but people aren't ready for them. Yo, thank you, Just a Rat, for the $2. Bro, I have an elite take. This is an elite take. You literally can't argue against it. It's the fact. And you know what? I'm making a video on the most overhyped, overrated UFC fighters of all time, and Khamzat's on the list. Dude, he dominated Usman. No one has ever done that. He had a broken... He didn't dominate him, though. He didn't dominate him. He dominated 5 minutes and gassed out and lost the second and third round. I'm sorry, but is a draw domination? No, it's not. He didn't. You're delusional if you think he did, okay? If you really look at what happened in the first, what did he accomplish other than gassing himself out and not being able to do anything in the second and third? You're just wrong. You can't say he dominated someone when they lose 2 out of 3. That's the opposite of domination. Usman sunned him. Usman punked him, bro. And Usman's good. Usman's great. And Khamzat's a good fighter. He's a future champion, 100%. But he's not as good as I thought. That's all. He's not as good as I thought. Of course, you're going to slow down. Oh my gosh. Stop, bro. Stop. Of course, you're going to slow. I don't care if you slow down and stop throwing a couple of punches because you break one of your hands. What matters is this. He looked exhausted. Watch the fight back. He looked exhausted. He was getting wobbled around by Usman in the third and looking exactly how he did in the second against Burns. He looked horrible on the feet. It doesn't matter if he broke his hand. 2 years from now, when he's the champion running through overrated DDP and Sean, it makes Usman look way better. That would make Usman look a lot better if he runs through Sean, if he runs through DDP. That is the truth. It would make Usman look really good. Once again, guys, I'm able to give credit where credit's due. Taking down Usman is very impressive. I've said that probably 50 times already. I couldn't say it enough. It is impressive. I don't care if Khamzat did one thing impressive. Okay. Our expectations for this guy for the past 2 years were not to see him ragdoll people for 5 minutes and then look like crap after. Okay. Our expectations were not to have him do what he usually does in the first round. If he's not able to finish someone, he turns into a wet blanket that has absolutely nothing to offer. That's what I'm criticizing. It's that he drops off of a cliff. He has nothing going past 5 minutes. That's it. That's it. Again, we haven't been hyping him up just to take people to draws and go to wars with the elites. No, we've been hyping him up to see him destroy people, and he's done nothing but disappoint in that regard. That's all I have to say. Against the elites, he's just disappointed a little bit. That's it. It's okay. He could still be a champ, right? Not everyone's going to be John Jones. Not everyone's going to be Big Volk. Moreno and Burns got hurt on their last fight and went 5 rounds. Yes, man. Colby Covington won the 4th round against Kamaru Usman with a broken jaw, okay? After 3 hard rounds, a broken jaw, and he won that 4th. Yet people are making excuses because he had a little broken wrist. Oh, stop. Stop the bullshit, please. I'm not saying that doesn't cause adversity. I'm not saying he should have thrown the broken wrist. I'm just saying that has nothing to do with him gassing out. Khamzat has no gas tank, man, and he lost 2 out of 3 rounds. I'm fucking tired of these Khamzat fans acting like he had an impressive performance. Khamzat could have had 2 broken legs and been rolled over a wheelchair, and he still should have been able to go more than 5 minutes. Yes, man, that couldn't be more true. Could not be more true. Could have had 2 broken legs. Could have been wheeled out of the wheelchair, and he still should have been able to go more than 5. I appreciate the $10. The speaking facts, Saber. I appreciate that. I've rewatched the fight, dude. I rewatched the fight myself. I have Kamaru Usman winning the 2nd and 3rd. I don't think Kamaru won the fight. I think that it was a draw. I'm just criticizing the fact that Khamzat lost 2 out of 3 rounds to a guy coming in on 11 days notice that was 36 years old when everyone expected Khamzat Chimaev to finish people and at least have a decent performance when he's had the last whole year off ready to fight for middleweight. He's had a whole year off. I expected him to be, someone that could at least throw a couple of punches or kicks or whatever's not broken. Dude, his wrestling was the only thing that looked good. And that's fine. That's good for Khamzat. But again, we weren't talking about Khamzat as a one-dimensional fighter. We were talking about a guy that was going to go out here and march people down and knock people out, right? Have no respect for Kamaru Usman. He's never going to get backed up. And all we saw was Kamaru Usman backing him up, popping him in the face with nasty jabs, okay? And punking him. Khamzat Chimaev was wobbling around with his open mouth breathing. Again, I'm just calling it how I see it, guys. I'm just calling it how I see it. That's all we're saying, man. We're just saying this guy's not going to be like the Michael Jordan of MMA. He's not going to be the LeBron James. I expected to see Michael Jordan in Khamzat Chimaev. Okay? I expected to see Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt. I expected the chosen one of the sport. That's it. The expectations were really high. But what we're getting instead is I expected Michael Jordan. We're getting John Stockton. Okay. It's a little bit of a disappointment if you're dropping from Jordan to Stockton. He's just, he's a great fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's not all that. Okay. Because there's nothing wrong with having a close fight with Kamaru Usman. Because we can at least nitpick and say, all right, aside from all the hype, aside from all the music, what Khamzat did was he tentated Usman and took him to a draw. Okay, that's pretty good. But he certainly isn't doing what he needs to do if he is going to be a future GOAT of the sport. All right, you need to dominate people at the age of 29. Okay, Alexander Volkanovski, and some of you guys are going to say I'm glazing. He didn't take Aldo to a draw. Okay, he didn't. All right, he didn't take Max to a draw. Okay. Right? Volk wasn't getting knocked out till he was 35. All right, man? And Khamzat's getting punked at the age of 29. You think anyone was punking Volk? Because when someone tried, and that someone was Chad Mendes, you fucking knocked him out in a second. So, straight up, man. The X-ray pick would have already came out if he had broken. Yeah, he didn't break his wrist. That's such a cope, guys. I think Khamzat, and also he mentioned it while he was running out of the arena, Khamzat was actually disappointed in his performance. His hand may have been bothering him, but he made a point to mention it on camera while running out of the arena. He let himself down. Remember how he was saying, sorry, coach, after the Gilbert Burns fight? He was doing the exact same thing after this one. I literally saw him say, sorry, coach, something like that. He apologized. He literally apologized. He was disappointed in his performance. And his fans are just gobbling him up. Now, of course, some people thought Usman was going to win. Some people thought it was going to go down just like that. Khamzat was going to gas out and Usman was going to come on strong, 100%. But there was an overwhelming amount of people that expected Khamzat to go out there and march down Kamaru Usman and knock him out, clean out, bully him on the feet. Okay. It was nothing but one-way traffic on the feet. He didn't live up to the expectations and he only had 5 minutes of it in him. That's it. That's unacceptable. Gassing out after 5 minutes is unacceptable. Who's ragdolled Usman like that? All right, here we have a good argument. The first argument that I'm going to pick apart and absolutely destroy. Okay, Sly Tendencies. Thank you for an argument. All right, guys. Thank you for the $5. Who's ragdolled Usman like that? Nobody. Nobody's done Usman like that. Khamzat Chimaev looked amazing in the grappling. He looked, hold on. He looked amazing in the grappling in the first round. And the fact that he was able to take down Usman even when he was tired in the second and third is also indicative that he's got nasty grappling and wrestling. 100%. I could never deny that. But after the first round, he didn't do anything with the grappling. He did nothing but lay on top and wet blanket Kamaru Usman, and literally he resorted to shoulder nudges. I can't even call them shoulder strikes, shoulder nudges. He, at one point in the third round, realized he couldn't get anything off and needed to nudge his shoulder to make it look like he was doing something so the ref wouldn't separate him and Usman. Like, is this what we were expecting? Oh, yeah. Back when I was watching Khamzat destroy Li Jingliang, I was saying to myself, I can't wait till he gets to the highest level of competition and nudges people in the face in the third round when losing those rounds to a guy on taking the fight on short notice. I couldn't wait for Khamzat's little shoulder nudges. That's what I mean by he's not living up to the expectations. This man has crushed Woodley with ease. Yes, that was in 2019 when Kamaru was at the start of his championship reign. That was like 5 years ago, brother. I know Kamaru is really good, but Woodley is not the same, dude. Like Kamaru Usman is a different beast than Tyron Woodley, man. He's really good. I'll give you that. He did crush Woodley with ease when he was a young gun, when his knees were all right. And Khamzat owned him with one arm. He didn't own him, though. He didn't own him. I completely disagree. Owned him by losing 2 out of 3 rounds and gassing out badly after 5 minutes of doing ultimately nothing in the first. Landed a couple of decent elbows and a couple of pit-pat shots. and that's what you call owning someone? Getting punked on the feet? I didn't know that was owning someone. All right? I should go out here and say Colby Covington absolutely owned Warley Alves because you may have taken him down before he got subbed, right? I should say Josh Emmett owned Yair Rodriguez because he took Yair down, huh? So we're just going to say Izzy owned Whitaker in the rematch just because of the knockdown in the first? Come on, man. It's a draw. I had it 2-1 all day. Strickland loses bigly. Okay. Listen. I'm not going to call you crazy for picking Khamzat to beat Strickland, but I personally think that if Strickland survives the first, and after seeing Khamzat face the elite competition, and I know that Usman's got good takedown defense, and I know that Gilbert Burns is a monster on the ground, but Kamaru Usman's not known for his submission defense. He's not known for his jiu-jitsu. Once he's on the ground, the battle is already half over, okay? No, not even that. The battle's like 80% done. The battle is getting him to the ground. Once he's there, all right, well, that's similar to what you will get when Strickland's there too. I think that Khamzat's not going to beat Strickland. I think Strickland's going to march him down with that Philly shell in the second, third, fourth, and fifth. And I think he's going to... I'm actually picking Strickland to TKO Khamzat. Maybe. I might pick him to TKO him in like the 5th round. But I'm probably going to pick Strickland by decision because I actually don't think Strickland's going to TKO him. Strickland's got little pillow punches. And you know what, guys? I think I'd pick Kamaru to beat Rob. I think that Kamaru Usman at 85, and we learned a lot about him. I think he's really good. His gas tank is great. His power looks great. He was wobbling big Khamzat Chimaev around who's got a good chin, and Robert Whitaker's a little bit chinny. And what? Whitaker's going to be taking down Usman? Like, I don't see him doing that. And also, even if he does, he ain't going to do nothing with it. I think Usman knocks Whitaker out. Lucas, how can you say Chimaev is experienced when he has 13 fights? LMAO. I don't give a fuck if he has 13 fights. What does this have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? He has good enough experience to have good wins at the age of what? How old is he? 29 in his prime? You're making excuses? The guy's 29. Well, we're going to wait till he's 35 to have enough experience to actually judge him correctly? I don't think that's... Who cares? Who cares? I don't like... Okay, so let me guess. You were picking him to go to a draw this weekend because of his lack of experience? That doesn't matter. Don't care if he has a lack of experience. He's 29 years old. He's been sparring with high-level fighters for years now. He's experienced enough to at least be able to get a good win. And he couldn't even beat Usman, which is okay. But he's not as good as I thought. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for the $5, Denzel. And the first ever super chat. Lucas, do you think Colby beats Khamzat? Oh, man, that's a good question. Wow, that's a really good question because you would have never heard me utter a peep about Colby maybe being able to beat him ever since, you know, a couple of fights deep into Khamzat's career where I was saying maybe Colby can beat him, but for a while I was shutting that down, saying no way. Yes, Colby could potentially beat Khamzat Chimaev at this point because Khamzat has no gas tank, and if he doesn't sub Colby or knock him out and the striking is looking a little bit piss poor, if he doesn't finish Colby, which he's capable of doing in the first by KO, if he doesn't finish him, I mean, how could we doubt Colby Covington to just outstrike him and stuff takedowns as the fight goes on, right? I think Khamzat could take Colby down, though, like he did to Usman, but it's like Usman won the second and third. Colby could maybe win the third, fourth, and fifth, right, if they had a 5-rounder. But, you know, it's very close fight. Thank you for the $5. RJ Brown, Bo Nickel or Khamzat? I'd say Khamzat has a lower ceiling than Bo Nickel. Khamzat can become a champ maybe, but Bo Nickel at least probably has more than 5 minutes in him. Still has the same KO power, has nasty hands, just as good wrestling as you could possibly ever ask for. I mean, his wrestling has potential to be better than Khamzat's in MMA, but we'll find out. There are plenty of high-level wrestlers that can never truly crack, you know, into that upper echelon of grappling in MMA, like Henry Cejudo, you know, Dan Henderson and whatnot. Like, these guys weren't the most dominant grapplers. And Khamzat is a dominant grappler, whereas Bo Nickel, we don't know that yet, but I do think Bo Nickel may have a higher ceiling now that we know Khamzat only has 5 minutes in him. BM Vic, thank you for the $2. Costa would TKO Khamzat in the third, pace and power. Yeah, man, I don't know, man. I think Khamzat may have been able to bamboozle a low IQ Costa a little bit easier on the ground in the first. And I don't think Costa has the same jab as Khamzat. And I also know Khamzat doesn't have the same gas tank as Usman. So that's the difference. Usman actually has a gas tank, unlike Costa. What does Khamzat have to do to change your opinion to what it originally was? Okay. I need to see him win 2 fights in a row dominantly. Okay, Khamzat needs to beat Strickland and he needs to dominate his next opponent. Because even though his next opponent might be like a tough stylistic matchup, like Dricus, Khamzat would be getting better, a little bit better, right? Because he's getting a little older, a little bit wiser. But yeah, he'd have to dominate 2 more people. And you know what? I'm actually a little bit saddened by the fact that Khamzat's just not able to go longer than 5 minutes because he may not be able to control it. Like his cardio gas tank thing, it's just, it may be something that he cannot change. Like this guy trains his ass off. He's known for training his ass off. He's known for overtraining and going 18 hard rounds of sparring and training 5 times a day. Maybe he overtrains. And if he takes his foot off the gas in regards to that, maybe he could train smarter, not harder, and his gas tank would be a little bit better. But yeah, it could be genetics. It could be genetics. I hope he can fix it because it would suck to see Khamzat Chimaev be one of those guys that just doesn't have a gas tank, right? Because that's so important. Having a gas tank is like, you know, it's like having a decent chin. If you don't have a good chin, you're never going to get that far. Still crying? I'm not crying at all. I'm not even in any way emotionally invested into Khamzat Chimaev's career right now, but I just think you guys are coping with the fact that he looked like shit and lost 2 out of 3 rounds, and that's okay, man. It's fine. I didn't know you guys, had all these crazy high expectations and were happy he went to a draw with older Kamaru Usman taking it on 11 days notice. Taking down Usman 4 times is not crazy impressive. It's impressive. It's impressive. The reason why it's not crazy impressive is because he didn't do anything with the last couple of takedowns that he got in the fight. He just wet blanketed them. And usually when Khamzat Chimaev goes to the ground with people, he dominates them. And when he was just wet blanketing Kamaru Usman, that wasn't that impressive from what I'm used to seeing, right? What I'm used to seeing from Khamzat is not just a takedown. It's more than that. And yes, taking Usman down is impressive, but just because he took him down doesn't mean that there were also some other things that we saw from Khamzat that looked horrible, okay? That got in the way of me being impressed by him. And that was the fact that he looked so tired. He was on Crip Street. He got wobbled by Usman. He got shut down by a simple old jab and all that. And yeah, man, he lost the second round and the third. So I don't think his performance was that good since he lost 2 out of 3 rounds. And those were the latter 2 rounds where he was the one with the full training camp. Oh my gosh. This is such a funny comment. Blue Cheese Bandit says, "You're exposed. Chimaev's 13-0, undefeated. He's 12-0-1. You got to draw, buddy." But yeah, like yeah, on paper I'll give you that. On paper, but you know, we count robberies. We count robberies over here. Dominated everyone he faced in the first. that doesn't mean much when you get schooled every other round. Like, okay, dominated everyone in the first. Wording it that way makes it seem like he finished Usman in the first, which he didn't. He lost the second and third. Broken hand. He literally didn't break his wrist. That has absolutely nothing to do with gassing out. Looked pathetic in the second and third. No kicks. I didn't know the wrist was attached to the leg and all that. I didn't know that the wrist was attached to the lungs, but whatnot. Resume always wins over Usman. Burns, Ikram, co-partner. His resume is already better than Usman's, I guess. He's not in his prime. He didn't fight in 15 months. Yeah, he had 15 months to get ready for a full training camp. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Until next time. 15 months to gas out after 5 minutes. So impressive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.